Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 was Homestead, opening with $6 million this weekend domestically, and that total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries yet. Yet another Angel Studios film popping out of the blue and taking me completely by surprise. I did not know this movie was a thing, and yet here we are. It enters the top 5 charts. Pretty impressive, as I've said time and time again with many of these Angel Studios films. They clearly have their audience, which despite me not knowing anything about their movies coming out, they still rush out in droves to come and see their films on opening weekend, which is admittedly very impressive, and I'm sure they were hoping and basing this movie's performance on, the Christmas legs. They released it so soon to the holidays, so of course they want that Christmas bump, and I'm not sure if it's going to have that, as not only do these films tend to be very front-loaded, but this film in particular does not seem to be resonating well with their core audience. It got a B cinema score rating, which is really bad. If you thought that was bad for a kid's movie, that's even worse for a faith-based film. Even the faith-based crowds are like, dang, this movie is really bad. So don't expect word of mouth to be the saving grace for this movie, as was the other Angel Studios movies that have popped up in these top 5 charts. So yeah, not a great outlook for the film going forward from here, but still rather impressive and a solid opening nonetheless. Very impressive that the film was able to crack the top 5. Number 4 was Moana 2, making $13 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $359 million and a worldwide total of $790 million. So the movie is still doing very well. Let's just get that out of the way. Yes, the movie is still a big hit. The movie costed $150 million to make. It's made well past that. It's just $10 million away from $800 million worldwide. It is doing very, very well. One of the biggest hits of the year. But I still believe this could have done a lot better had it been a better movie. I think this film is definitely slowing down. I think it's not going to, or just barely get over the $1 billion milestone, which, considering the opening, seemed like that would have happened like at least 1 week ago. We would probably, if the movie was better, if the movie was at least on par with the first one, or even like on par with Inside Out 2, this movie would probably still be in the top 3 by this point. It would have probably broken several records and become one of the biggest animated films of all time. Maybe there would have been even a competition for biggest animated film of all time with Inside Out 2, but it just hasn't. I think the word of mouth was a bigger detriment to this film's performance than it was initially thought it would be, because it's not like people thought it was horrible or anything, but it's definitely not as good as the first one, and now it's lagging behind the other big musical that came out, and it is definitely slowing down. The steam train has slowed down for this movie. So yeah, it still made a lot of money. It still did very, very well. I don't think Disney's upset over these numbers, but you gotta wonder what might have been had they made this movie as strong as the first one, had this movie been as good as that last movie. We would have probably seen even bigger numbers for this, but as is, I guess they'll just take what they can get. It's still a great performance all around, but still, what might have been had this film really lived up to expectations. Number 3 was Wicked, making $14 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $384 million and a worldwide total of $572 million. Wicked still doing very well. It had a great hold this weekend, the best out of the holdovers in the top 5. Just 38% drop from last weekend. Really impressive when you consider not only were there 2 new family films out this weekend, but also one of them was a new musical, and it was still able to pull in its core audience. And now it has also gone up ahead against Moana 2, which was, it seemed like that would have been its biggest threat, but it seemed to pull up ahead domestically. Worldwide, Moana 2 still has the lead, but still really impressive, and as well as the fact that it is now just less than $20 million away from the $400 million milestone domestically, which I'm sure will see that film surpass it by the end of this week, and it's now less than 30 million away from surpassing the $600 million milestone worldwide. Again, I think we'll see that by the end of this week. Yeah, things are looking really, really strong for Wicked, even though we should be headed to the slowdown period. It's been well over a month now. You'd think it would slow down, but no, the hype is still there, and with Christmas on the horizon, the film's still maintaining its audience, and then doing, the Christmas sing-along re-releases, and people still loving this movie. It wouldn't surprise me if this movie would get the big Christmas bump out of all the holdovers from last Thanksgiving. I don't think it's going to apply for some of the other movies like Moana 2 or Gladiator 2 or Red One as much as it will apply to this movie. This movie has just become quite the phenomenon, and I definitely think it's going to have a very Merry Christmas this weekend. Yeah, another solid weekend for Wicked, and it doesn't look like things are ending quite just yet here for the film's big box office performance. Things are still looking very strong for this movie. Number 2 was Mufasa, The Lion King, opening with $35 million this weekend domestically and $122 million worldwide. This is the 6th biggest opening for an animated film this year, topping Transformers 1, the Garfield movie, Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, and Piece by Piece, but still sitting behind The Wild Robot, Kung Fu Panda 4, Despicable Me 4, Moana 2, and Inside Out 2. Oh, Mufasa, you poor sweet little boy. Okay, look, I had some expectations last week, and I thought this movie would do all right. I didn't think it was going to be like the 2019 one, but I didn't think it would do this badly. I thought there was interest there. Clearly, I was on another planet with aliens or something. I was talking to I found a specific group of people, a very limited group of people who were interested in this movie, because this shows that there was very little interest for this movie at all. I don't think the hype was really there as much as I thought there was, and the marketing didn't sell this movie enough to a lot of people, and this movie just didn't seem like it was able to capture that magic that the 2019 film was able to do. I don't think people were interested in seeing this version of The Lion King get turned into a franchise. I don't think a lot of families were really that interested, as the other big family film was able to double what this movie was able to do. And even on the worldwide side of things, it is slightly better, but yeah, it's still disappointing because the film has a $200 million budget and it's only made roughly half of that, and it's got to double that in order to be a success. Yeah, things look really concerning, really bad right now, and maybe the word of mouth will help it out. It's a Disney movie, and people love those movies, Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, those got stellar reception from audiences. Maybe the word of mouth will help this one out, but even on that side, it's looking very concerning. It got an A- cinema score rating, which is not only a step down from the A that the 2019 Lion King got, but it's also on par with some other lackluster animated family fare, at least according to some people, Kung Fu Panda 4, Moana 2, and Harold and the Purple Crayon. So yeah, even the word of mouth seems to be a bit concerning. Not a lot of people are really liking or enjoying this movie. However, it is the holidays, and the holidays are a very weird time for movie going. It was said, because this was the pre-Christmas weekend, many people were preoccupied, with Christmas parties, last-minute Christmas shopping, and there were some college football games going on, which is why some of the movies did the amount they did. So maybe that was a factor into this movie's case, but then again, the other family movie was able to double this, but more on that movie later. So yeah, maybe more people are waiting till after Christmas to go check this movie out. Apparently, there's some rumors saying that this movie's gonna crush it on Christmas Day, so we'll just have to wait and see on that aspect. And this is such a weird time. Again, a movie could have the worst opening and then just completely take the world by storm. I mean, look what happened with the movies last year. Anyone But You, Migration, even Aquaman. Those movies had horrible openings, but through the Christmas legs, they were able to at least turn the ship around slightly. Even Aquaman was able to become at least a slight disappointment as opposed to the big flop people were expecting it to. So don't write the story yet for Mufasa just yet. We're just gonna have to wait and see if this movie can turn this ship around. Stranger things have happened before, especially this time of the year. I wouldn't bet against it, but it cannot be denied. This this weekend specifically, was absolutely rough for this movie. I'm very concerned. I think the odds are against this movie, but strange things have happened on the holidays, so definitely gonna have to keep our eyes out on this movie for sure. See if it can turn the ship around, maybe get its second chance. But I don't know. This opening is very, very concerning. Definitely not what they were hoping for this movie for sure. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, which was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Opening with $60 million this weekend domestically, and that total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries yet. This is the 5th biggest opening for a family film this year, topping Kung Fu Panda 4, The Wild Robot, Mufasa the Lion King, If, and Transformers 1, but still sitting behind Despicable Me 4, Wicked, Moana 2, and Inside Out 2. It's also the 10th biggest opening of the year overall, topping Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but still sitting behind Despicable Me 4, Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, Twisters, Dune Part 2, Beetlejuice, Wicked, Moana 2, Inside Out 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. And it is the 4th biggest opening for a video game movie, topping the first Sonic the Hedgehog, but still sitting behind Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Five Nights at Freddy's, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And if you couldn't guess already, it's the 2nd biggest opening in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. So while it didn't reach the heights of the second one, or even my ludicrously ridiculous heights, I would still say this is a pretty solid opening. Again, this was the pre-Christmas weekend, so a lot of things definitely affected this movie's performance. Christmas shopping, Christmas parties, and obviously the college football playoffs. I think this was a bigger factor into this movie's opening than Mufasa, because you can tell the hype was still there for this movie. Fans still went out to go and see this, despite the fact that this was in less theaters than Mufasa and had to share and even, lose some of its PLF screens to that movie. The fact that this was still able to double that movie's performance, at least domestically, is really damn impressive. It shows that the hype and interest was more for this movie than Mufasa was. And with a $122 million budget, I could see this movie easily making that back through the holiday legs, as the word of mouth on this movie has been excellent. I've been hearing nothing but good things about this movie, and there has not been a day since Friday where I have not seen at least one person talking about this movie. The word of mouth is through the roof. Audiences are loving it. It got an A on CinemaScore, on par with the last 2 Sonic films, as well as the other well-received family fare that has come out this year. Inside Out 2, Despicable Me 4, If, The Wild Robot, Transformers 1, so on and so forth. And I really think the Christmas legs and the holiday boost are going to really help this movie. Just the word of mouth on this movie has just been so excellent thus far, and I'm sure once it releases internationally, those numbers are just going to get even higher. Yeah, this is a really solid opening, and the outlook is looking pretty bright for this movie, certainly more than Mufasa the Lion King. I think this is definitely going to become the holiday movie to see. For sure, it's going to be the big movie to check out, especially given, the immense and extremely positive word of mouth. Everybody's been loving this movie thus far. Yeah, I don't have any more else to say. I think this is going to really, really do well throughout the rest of the holiday season, and as we make our way into the new year, just a really solid opening all around. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And just in time for Christmas, we have 2 new major wide releases, the first being A Complete Unknown. This is the Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet. I think this could surprise, not to an insane degree, but it seems like one of the few films out this holiday season geared towards an older audience, and Bob Dylan certainly has his fans. There does seem to be buzz with this movie, and I'm hearing pretty solid things, so this could be one of the bigger, older adult skewering films that finds its audience. It's not going to be the next, Sonic or anything, but I could see it performing similar, or at least a little bit less than like what the Bob Marley biopic did. I think the Christmas legs will help it out a bit, and being one of the few adult films out right now, that'll definitely generate some interest with it, and certainly the Bob Dylan fans are going to be rushing out to see it this holiday season. Yeah, I don't have a lot else to say here. I think this could do pretty well. And then there's Nosferatu, the newest modern take on the beloved monster and SpongeBob character from Robert Eggers. I think this is also going to be another one that really surprises, not to an insane degree, but I think this is definitely going to get the horror fans out right now. The fact that, he has such a big reputation with not only SpongeBob fans, but also just in the horror community. This was originally a film lost to time, but was able to finally be released through piracy. I believe that's the story. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But the legacy of this character, this monster, and now it's going to get a new adaptation of it, is definitely generating interest. It's also being very well received. The buzz on this, especially in the horror community, is very huge. Many people claiming it's one of, if not the best horror film of the year. And with that title attached to this movie, I'm sure that's going to generate a lot of interest for this movie, especially this holiday season. It's definitely going to stand out amongst the sea of family fare for being the only real big horror film out right now, and the marketing has also been really solid. Been seeing a lot of ads and promo stuff for it, the standee, the popcorn bucket, so on and so forth. Yeah, I think this is really going to surprise, again, not to an insane degree, but especially for this year in horror, I think this will be one of the bigger ones for sure. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.